Hey, Redefining Freedom fans and friends, welcome to our special coverage and commentary on the attempted assassination of a former United States president. It's pretty unbelievable as we are reflecting now and learning more information and trying to understand what happened. I wanted to open with a quote from Dr. King because I thought about what would be the most appropriate way to start and how do we start this conversation that we've been needing to have for centuries as we are 248 years old, headed to our 250th birthday in just 2 years. But Dr. King said this, I want to read his words. Hate begets hate. Violence begets violence. Toughness begets even greater toughness. We must meet the forces of hate with the power of love. We must meet the forces of hate with the power of love. Those are Dr. King's words, and I thought about him, and he lost his life to assassination. President Kennedy, Malcolm X, Robert Kennedy, attempted assassinations on President Ford, President Reagan, on George Wallace when he was running for president. Throughout our history, we have lost Presidents Lincoln and Garfield and others to assassination. Teddy Roosevelt was almost assassinated. It was something in his pocket that literally saved his life as he was speaking. I think it was a pocket watch or some type of coin that saved his life. We have experienced great tragedy in this country, in this republic, in this democracy with political violence. I think what I want to say at this moment is everybody needs to hit pause. I've seen the social media posts. I've seen them on Twitter and on Instagram, and they are awful. And I'm disappointed in people that I know personally who have said some pretty unbelievable things, blaming President Biden for this, not owning the fact that President Trump, although we are grateful that he did not die and was not seriously harmed or injured in that attempt on his life, he has fomented a lot of the anger, violence, and division that we see. It's unprecedented. Over the last 8 years, we really haven't seen anything like this since pre-Civil War into the Civil Rights era of the 1950s through the 60s. My message to you today on this Redefining Freedom podcast is it is time for us to have the hard conversations, to stop the name callings on critical race theory or DEI or I hate this group or I hate that group or I don't like this one, or if you're not a Christian like me, you don't belong in my country. We're going to take our country back from these people or those people, and the immigrants have blood that is poisoning America. All of these things that are just really not only despicable, but they're just un-American. It's not who we are. And I think it's time for us to start calling a thing and to come together, not in a fake way, but in a real way where we have real conversations. And we actually talk about the hard things and acknowledge that this country was built by a lot of different people, that it's not any one group's country, that diversity is a good thing, inclusion is a good thing, equity is something we all ought to strive for, regardless of our race, our class, our gender, etc. It's time for us to take off the gloves and start telling the truth about the things that some people are uncomfortable with. That's okay. You grow when you're uncomfortable. You grow when you're stretched. You grow when you have courageous conversations. You grow when things are difficult. It is time for us to have a redefinition revolution about what freedom means in our time. Not just in the time in which we were founded 250 years ago when white men had all the power. White women didn't have any power. Poor white people didn't have any power. Black people were 3/5 of a human and enslaved. Other peoples of color were coming into this country, but were indentured servants. Or if the Irish, if you had the wrong religion, if you had debt, we bonded you and we put you in servitude for the rest of your life. It took African Americans 200 plus years to become free citizens, and that only applied to black men through the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments to the Constitution. Then we went to 100 years of Jim Crow segregation, colored, black, Negro, niggers. I mean, have we really paid attention to who we are and how we got here? Because it didn't happen overnight. It didn't just happen with this one man. He's just reawakened the beast. He's given people permission to be nasty and awful. So I hope that he has had a come to Jesus moment. I hope that Donald Trump means what he said when he posted today, that he believes God spared his life. If he believes that, I hope he changes. I hope he leans into something better in himself. Better husband, better father, better friend, better leader, better spokesman, better uniter, and not a divider. That's my hope for us. We've been on Instagram today. We have the podcast live, a special episode. I talked about this more, but I wanted to come on camera and say, it is time for us to do better, but we don't do better with fake kumbayas. We do better by having the hard conversations, the truthful conversations, ripping the scab off. We don't run away from our history. We're Americans. We don't run, we don't duck, we don't cover. We stand. And after we've had our say and we've disagreed, we're e pluribus unum. We're out of many, one. God bless you. God bless the United States. And may God bless our troops serving abroad and here at home.